There's not going to be the main overlay. We're just going to go right into it. Now, really quickly, before we get into the actual document itself, because obviously I do want to take some time to explain the situation as has been requested in chat. So let me go over all that. Good to have you, by the way. Hey, listen, lurk. Hey, listen, look. You're bullying me into self-care. You can bully me after stream. We'll get a little done. And are we going to cancel you because of a shock? Bruh. How are you, Rocky Savannah? I hope you're doing well. Once you read page 876 of the document, you'll be ashamed of your words and deeds. Hey, Castell. Hope you're doing well. So, hey, listen. Hi, Villain of Legend. I hope you're doing well. Okay, so let me explain this in very simple terms, because it is a very complicated situation. Essentially, a well-known, very high-level VTuber artist, Nanoless, who a lot of very popular VTubers that you all know and love. She does the models, the actual artwork for a lot of these VTubers, Model Mama. Published a document in April. This was basically exactly when the Kirsha situation was going on, so it was already a bit of a black eye for gamer subs. Nanoless basically published a document essentially alleging that Sinder had engaged in trying to monopolize just Nanoless for working with Sinder, and that's it. And there was some other stuff alleged as well, some unprofessionalism, snake-like behavior, a lot of other additional personalities, well-known VTubers in the space came in and started saying, hey, I had issues with Sinder as well. I had issues with Sinder as well. So these were folks like, for example, Spite, who's also a Hellhound VTuber. We also have Silverveil discussing Sinder, and then we have folks like Shy Lily basically coming in and really just basically saying, like, screw you, Sinder, like, you're such a snake, in so many words. And so that's essentially what happened. I would describe Sinder, sort of what happened was a major Google document came out and a series of follow-up Google documents came out. Cinder tried to address things, but her Google Doc was read as very deflective, very much sort of like making excuses. It was not a very good, like, quote unquote apology. And it felt like she wasn't really owning up to a lot of the things that in this document she eventually does admit, like, yes, I did in fact fuck up. It was very kind of like it was just not a good apology in the grand scheme of how apologies should be done on the internet. And I would argue that what she's publishing here is probably coming a little too late. I think everyone has kind of made their opinions up on the matter at this point, but I do think some level of engagement with the primary source, even if you can't read the full 1,000 words, is important. Why? Because when you rely on others as secondary sources for this kind of stuff, you're always at risk of them inserting misinformation, half-truths, or their own personal opinion into the matter. That's why I want to just read through this document with minimal commentary, because I just want you guys to be able to pop this on and just listen to it so you at least understand what is actually said in the document. How much money does Google Doc get in ad revenue if these fucking Google Docs dropping? I don't think they get a single cent. I think it's like a subsidized service at this point, and then they have like professional... Well, free use of Google Doc is kind of subsidized by like professional networks working with Google. So that's basically the Cinder story. I mean, like, Cinder since April has been synonymous with like basically being like someone who is like a snake, someone who's like considered like a saboteur, someone who is trying to sabotage the career of others. And what we're going to be discussing here is essentially basically in some ways whether that's true or not, based on her document. Now, I want to stress a couple things before we officially get started. As I have said, my goal here is not actually to provide commentary. I think a lot of folks working in the newstuber space right now, their initial thought is, let me provide commentary. Let me encourage people how to address or think about this. And I think it actually is resulting in a lot of newstubers basically either not, like, it takes time to read through something like this and really think about it sometimes. And also I think a lot of newstubers are basically doing the kind of Asmongold Rev, like, yeah, so that happened, whoa, kind of thing, which is not really I think beneficial to our viewers to just kind of be like, so that happened, follow and sub. I think the best thing that I can do as a journalist is actually just show you what's written in the document in a way that's a little bit more accessible. You know, you don't have to do anything. You can just listen. You don't have to read anything. You don't have to scroll through a page. You can just exist. It's like a podcast, except funny noises will sometimes be dropped by chat. I love you too, Castell. I love you, chat. All right. Without further ado, let us begin. All right. Part 1, an overdue response. Hi, everyone. It's been over 5 months since everything happened. I've never been good with words, and I'm especially bad at verbalizing my feelings. I've always hid my insecurities, and it's hard for me to open up about things, even to the people closest to me. It was nearly 2 a.m. for me on April 26 when Nanoless and Bao posted their documents together after I had finished streaming earlier in the night. I was awake for almost 48 hours by the time I posted my apology. Looking back at it, no, it wasn't good. I was not in a sound state of mind when it was written. I was blindsided by any of this coming out and the accusations made against me. No one involved tried contacting me privately beforehand. I was unable to eat, sleep, or do anything else but watch more documents and statements be released while everything fell apart. I didn't have my friends, but I had the weight of the entire internet waiting to see what I was going to say and how I was going to say it wrong. I didn't have access to search for all the evidence to defend myself with the growing list of allegations. And I didn't have time to put it all together cohesively anyways. I was petrified. How could I possibly respond correctly to a coordinated effort like this in the state I was in without just blindly accepting fault for all the things I didn't do or never knew happened? I rushed to get something out, defend myself the best I could in the heat of the moment, and posted just so I could rest. No matter what I would end up saying, it would never have been good enough. It took me a long time to mentally recover and have the ability to face any of this again. I couldn't look at anything Sinder related without breaking down. All of my fans that looked up to me were led to believe I was evil and encouraged to destroy or donate my merch. Almost everyone I knew or cared about turned on me in an instant, and anyone who's ever had anything to say about me did. I had only one of my close friends message me after everything was out there. I received rape, dox, and death threats over these accusations. So I stepped away from the internet. I reconnected with Red and we worked things out between ourselves. When we were both ready to, he helped me with the long process of making this document. I didn't say almost anything else to anyone sooner, privately or publicly, because no one would believe me until I had absolutely everything put together to post all at once in one place. Purpose of this document. 1. To present the full story and the facts and evidence around what happened with complete transparency, defend myself against what's been said about me, and provide mine and Red's perspectives and motivations about each situation. It wasn't my choice to make this public, but since it is, my side of the story matters too. 2. To take accountability for everything that each of us are guilty of in the past couple years, whether they were revealed in the original documents or not. This document will not absolve either of us of all wrongdoing, and it isn't trying to. 3. Dispel rumors, misconceptions, and theories about me, show how and why things actually occurred, and point out and refute discrepancies and lies in the claims or statements made against me. We've done things wrong, but the amount and degree of them has been incredibly exaggerated or completely made up. 4. This document contains speculation. Baseless accusations were made against me without evidence, so I've kept speculation labeled as such in the document. Most of it is supported by circumstantial evidence, but it should not be treated as solid fact. 5. This document is not to fuel harassment or spread hate towards anyone involved. I am doing what's listed above and posting this document in the same public setting the original documents were. If you have harassed anyone involved, quote-unquote, in my defense, you are not my supporter. Your actions are reprehensible, and I've never advocated for anyone to do this for any reason. I'm sorry to anyone who's been affected by any actions of rogue community members against my principles. I've been made out to be a two-faced, greedy, jealous, psychopathic narcissist. Let me move this up a little bit. Perfect. Wait. Apologies. Okay. I've been made out to be a two-faced, greedy, jealous, psychopathic narcissist who's maliciously used, stalked, sabotaged, and betrayed those closest to me and anyone around me for my own gain for years, manipulating my way to the top like some kind of evil mastermind. You were lied to. There are things I've done wrong. But this image of me could not be further from reality. This was a complete public assassination of my character over what were lies and assumptions, followed by my cancellation and disappearance, with my accusers profiting from it. If I was really the awful person I was made out to be, then this document wouldn't exist. I wouldn't have any way to refute the claims made against me. I could have just continued streaming and profited from the drama and the over 30 million views this situation garnered. I could have let everyone forget about this and come back like nothing ever happened. But it's not true, and I couldn't allow myself to move on without making things right. Everything that's come out and stories that followed have been blown way out of proportion and turned into crazy conspiracies. Both Red and I have done wrong, and all of that will be addressed here, but the story everyone was told was not the reality of what happened. Every single person I've ever interacted with in the past almost 5 years, even those closest to me, and every single interaction with them would have been fake for the story told about me to be true. I believe that there were 2 people responsible for how things played out, with a third person merely having an axe to grind against someone they never liked. Nanoless lied overwhelmingly about what happened between her and Red, sat back, and played everyone, including my friends. Shy Lily lied about me from the start, orchestrated things behind the scenes, and manipulated the public to their side. Silverveil took the opportunity to lie about our interactions together, making things even worse for me. They had the most to gain from my cancellation, including their own satisfaction. None of them could take accountability for their own actions and pushed it all onto me instead. The only 2 people that could disprove their lies were just made into lying manipulators and wiped off the internet. Aside from the labeled speculation, everything presented in this document is true to the best of mine and Red's knowledge. I have nothing to hide. And there isn't a reason to hide anything anymore. The bulk of what's shown here was over the past 2+ years. Keep in mind that no matter who you are, opinions, thoughts, and feelings can change a lot over such a long period of time, for better or worse. I went back and forth on a lot of things to put in here, asking myself if I should leave them out for the people I still care for, or keep them in for my own sake. No matter what evidence is included in this document, it wouldn't be surprising if it's claimed that even with all of the evidence, all of this is just me trying to lie, manipulate, and gaslight my way out of what happened, and that no one should possibly believe me again. To show that I stand by everything written here and that I'm sorry for the things I've done wrong, I made a very hard decision. I'm giving up my part ownership. I'm giving up my part ownership position of Gamer Subs. I've worked so hard for them since December of 2022, and earning this position was one of the biggest accomplishments of my life. I'm honored they chose to give me the opportunity, and I've been immensely proud to have the title. As sad as I am to do this, I feel the need to protect the company I love, the people that work there, and everyone associated over my own interests. Gamer Subs suffered a lot of damage when all of the accusations were made about me, and that fell on my shoulders. This is my responsibility as part owner, and I don't want any more harm or negativity to come to them by having this position. I didn't have to do this, and I wasn't asked, forced, or coerced into making this decision. There are things more important to me than business. I notified them of my decision in June and will take effect at the same time this document is published. So, readers note, this document was published on October 7th that night, so as of October 7th, Sinder is no longer a partial owner of Gamer Subs, at least according to this document. Each tab in this document is about the people and events related to the claims made against me, where I've provided links to each person's respective statements for reference, the evidence, context, and mine and Red's thoughts around each situation. Let me move this up. You're intended to read each section and in the order they're presented. This document should be viewed in desktop and light mode for the formatting to appear correctly. Some information and screenshots appear in multiple sections for whoever it's relevant. The first few sections, being Nanoless, Bao, V-Card, and Numi's concert, and Shy Lily, culminate in a section breaking down what you've seen throughout them, with the last few sections of the document being standalone. Unless stated otherwise, every link in this document is working at the time this is posted. This document will not be edited after it's posted either. Because we live in 2025, I need to say that this document was written without the use of AI. I understand some of the things in this document may be damaging to the people involved. They understood that their claims would be damaging to me before they publicly made them too. Everyone can review the evidence for themselves and decide what really happened and if I really am the person you were led to believe me to be. The burden of proof is on the accuser, not the accused. The end of the intro, the end of part 1. Okay. That is the beginning of an overdue response. Redacted. This is, of course, about Red, Sinder's manager. Let me catch up with chat. Something like this. Okay, I got the Celsius out. We're going to start part 1. This is the start of the doc proper with redacted. Red helped me put this entire document together. We want to be upfront and honest that this was a 2-person effort. His own commentary is present throughout it and is labeled as his and highlighted in blue. Red. Hello, I'm Red. I'm Cinder's longtime partner and I've worked alongside her since she started this career. I helped her put this document together to set the record straight. Over the past few months, I've had to come to terms with being the reason why Cinder's image, her relationships, and her career were all ruined. I hurt people who were our friends. I fucked up, and she had to answer to the world for it by herself. My actions ruined everything for her, and I'm taking responsibility and helping her pick up the pieces. I didn't want to put something out sooner without her that could have made things worse. I ask that you don't hold what I did against her. Red and I. Red and I are still together. We had a falling out and spent some time apart after the documents dropped on April 26. But he was still here for me when I was ready to talk to him again. We were able to work things out between us and forgive each other for what had happened. I wasn't planning to say anything about this again publicly, but I felt I needed to. Years ago, I cheated on Red online for my own selfish reasons, and the things I said about him were out of my own frustrations and past experiences. I made things sound much worse than they were at the time and mischaracterized the person he is. Red already knew that this happened way before it was made public in April, and no one else was ever told about it before then either. We addressed both of our problems in our relationship and moved past it a long time ago. It had nothing to do with my career or current events and isn't relevant to talk about further. We disagree, we get mad at each other, we argue, but our relationship isn't toxic or abusive in any way. I would appreciate it if the speculation around it would stop. Red and I have always had some level of communication problems, even with each other. Neither of us are good communicators beyond surface level. It's hard to open up, and we get in our own heads about things. We butt heads and disagree with each other sometimes, and even more so working together all day, every day. It's gotten much better over the years, but it's never been perfect. So the idea that anyone in any relationship would know about and agree with everything their partner feels, says, and does is crazy to me. I'm not the only one who's ever had a significant other keep secrets from them, and neither is Red. Every relationship is different and has its own nuances, dynamics, and problems, functioning in a way that only the two people involved know of and fully understand. No one looking in can say otherwise. Because I cheated on Red, should I assume that everyone's significant other has cheated on them in the past? Should I assume that all my friends' relationships are the same as mine? No. And for me to claim I know exactly how things work between any of them just because I'm their friend that sees them a few times a year is ridiculous. When I became Sinder, we wanted to keep our relationship private. In public, Red was simply my manager, and we hid our relationship from my friends for over a year during multiple trips. We agreed that I'd tell my closest friends about our relationship in March of 2024 because we felt we were close enough and trusted them enough to tell them. When we traveled, my friends saw us always close by each other and showing each other our work DMs on our phones, almost all of the time from chats we were both in, instead of talking about things out loud to keep up with projects while away, and to keep them private between us. It's easier to say, look at this, to keep each other on the same page, rather than have a verbal conversation when we're around other people at almost all times while away. What they saw at conventions or on vacations was all they saw. Only Red and I would have any idea how we worked together and acted around each other when at home. I lived with Red and his family from the summer of 2022 to the end of February 2025. I have never outright told anyone this, including my closest friends. We wanted to keep at least part of our personal lives private from everyone, even telling some people we lived apart. On stream, I've always said I lived with family friends and streamed in a basement. The basement part is true. It's where I spent the majority of my time, and it's where I worked and streamed from. My career started there in 2021 with my ASMR. Red was the one with the PC, mic, and experience with content creation since it's always been his hobby. I would go there more and more often until I moved in when I became a full-time streamer. For most of my earliest streams of my PNG model, Red would be in the room with me, modding on a laptop and making sure things would run smoothly. He was there as my tech support since at the time I could barely play games, let alone understand how to use and fix OBS if something went wrong. We built my own PC and I stopped needing him by my side by the time I debuted my first model in June 2022. He moved his PC into his own room and has worked from there since. Starting sometime last year, my streams kept disconnecting and we couldn't figure out why. This was going on for months, and no matter what we did, it kept happening. We thought there could be something wrong with the internet there that we couldn't fix. So as a last resort, my parents and I made space for me to move back in with them with my entire stream setup in February. We were able to fix the problem, but it ended up having nothing to do with the internet at all. I've been working and living here since, separate from Red. The reason why I'm revealing all of this now is because we could have easily gone through each other's DMs whenever we wanted in all those 3 years, but we didn't. It's not like we never showed each other our messages directly. We did all the time, but we didn't comb through each other's DMs at the end of every day to read anything we may have said, and I don't know anyone who'd say that's normal to do. We would just tell each other things that happened, and that was that. I never felt the need to look over his shoulder to check on anything and everything he was saying and to who. We trusted each other, and he's always had my best interest in mind. Working together. I'm choosing to have Red continue working with me. He will be doing most of what he did for me before, but will not be doing any work-related communication for me in any channels I'm not also a part of. I now have access to his Discord account to check on things myself if I need to. It's clear to me that he learned his own lesson from what happened. He made mistakes, and I forgave him. I wouldn't be where I am without him, and he's just as much a part of Sinder as I am. He wasn't just a manager that handled some messages, and he had a part in a lot of the things I did. He's always been the main creative mind behind my debuts and other releases too. Even with how involved he was, Red is still his own person, with his own ideas, his own opinions, his own feelings towards people, his own goals, and his own ambitions, working under the same brand as me. He's always been the business sensible one out of us, and the work side of things was always his focus. We worked together on almost everything, but we didn't agree on everything. There have been many business or creative decisions we'd argue back and forth about, sometimes taking days to reach a compromise. Red didn't always consult me before making his own choices in his messages with our partners. A lot of the time, I agreed with what he did or said, and it was fine. But sometimes I didn't, and we either compromised or I had him walk back what he said. Red didn't tell me about every single interaction he had with people we worked with, and I didn't expect him to. I trusted him. There was never a reason for him to not tell me something important. That was until we disagreed about one of my friends, Bao. At the start of the year, we moved a lot of our work-related conversations with various artists into a project server, so everything could be organized into one place. I could be included in discussions and decision-making where I needed to be, and would be able to see everything being said without having to rely on Red to relay every detail of the things he was handling. This was for organization, convenience, and so I could interact with every person working with me directly. However, this didn't mean Red didn't still use his DMs to do business or talk to people we were working with. Besides the allegations in Nano's document, no one else we've worked with has ever complained about Red, and we've both worked with dozens of people who I believe would say, their experience working with us was nothing but positive. Like I said in my apology, there were things Red didn't tell me about or hid from me and did without me knowing in his DMs. They're all shown in this document in the order below. I didn't know about these things beyond what I was told, if I was at all. In order. Red's inclusion of Bao and Cotton in his exclusivity deal with Nano in January 2025. Red telling artist number 1 Bao was someone he considered quote-unquote competition, while discussing exclusivity on the same day as his deal with Nano. Red's conversation with Nano about Shy Lily in April 2025. Red's conversations with Mod number 1 about Silvervale throughout 2024 and into 2025. Red asking artist number 2 about not working with Silvervale in March 2025. Red's conversation with artist number 1 about Silvervale in April 2025, which artist number 1 told me about days later. The names of artist number 1, artist number 2, and Mon number 1 are hidden to protect their privacy since they weren't directly involved in everything that happened in April. They will be reintroduced later in this document. Falling out. By the way, for chat, just a heads up, I will respond to any of your messages after we finish a chapter. I just want to make sure that for those listening that are lurking, and also when this gets uploaded to YouTube, that there's a certain level of cohesion. Once you start listening, you don't have to wait through me talking. Falling out. The night the first documents were posted, Red was here with me. I ended my stream, and he came over to see me while we worked on a few things together. We were still awake when Nano and Bao posted their documents at almost 2 a.m. EST. I didn't understand what was going on and started panicking. Red tried to explain what happened, but I blew up at him and kicked him out, regrettably refusing his help. We weren't in contact for almost a month after. I had one close friend reach out to me after things were public, and I responded to them sometime after Red was gone. I chose not to include their own message here. Sinder, 4/26/2025, 3:29 a.m. I'm so sorry, blank. I'm trying to collect myself. Red and I aren't speaking right now, and I'm so upset with everything. I was distraught, and I posted that Red was fired later that morning. I wasn't trying to, quote-unquote, throw him under the bus and avoid accountability. I was blindsided by my friends publicly pointing the finger at me for his words and actions I didn't even know about and I didn't agree with. I didn't know what else to do. In my apology, I said, quote, as of yesterday, he is no longer working with me, and I have not extensively discussed any of this with him. Because Red will continue working with me, I will be deleting this tweet sometime after posting this document. The link is to Sinder saying April 26, 2025. Effective immediately. Let me move this up. Redacted will no longer be managing or overseeing my VTuber activities. He no longer represents me as a creator, my brand, or my intentions. I'm sorry, everyone. I'll make a larger response when I'm able. To which a community note was later amended with several links out to various documents and tweets saying Sinder revealed themselves as well as Vamp Peach's VT that redacted Red was Sinder's partner. Moreover, Poor Bow's, Nanoless, and Silvervale's account redacted acted with Sinder's knowledge and consent, both of which directly engaged in libel towards other creators. The end of the redacted section. Next is my apology and taking account. For those, a quick note before I read chat, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 chapters in total. So we're 2/13 of the way through. The next section will be my apology and taking accountability, followed by Nanoless, Bao, V-Card, and Numi's concert. Shy Lily, The Breakdown, Silvervale, Aru, Spite, Message to the Pyro Pups, and Looking Ahead. Let me catch up with chat. My apology and taking accountability. Now that I've reviewed everything that happened and had time to reflect on my own actions, there are some details I need to point out and corrections I need to make from my apology. Then I'll go over the things Red or I or both of us did wrong, so we can take responsibility. Each section after this will explain the full story around each major individual involved, anything Red and I did, and defending ourselves against everything we didn't do. Quotes from my apology will be present throughout this document to show what they were in reference to. Screenshots that are directly of or taken from another document are highlighted with an orange border. Dates and important messages within any screenshots are highlighted in yellow. Quotes from my apology are highlighted in gray. Red's own comments on anything being presented are labeled and highlighted in blue. My apology for reference. My apology, we won't be reading this. Posted on 4/27/2025 at 4:16 p.m. Eastern. The things I claimed and admitted to in my apology were based on what I knew at the time, what was published in everyone else's documents, and what Red told me right after. I shut him out when I shouldn't have. I made my apology without his help, without all of the info in front of me, and without knowing the full scope of what had happened, how it happened, or what to believe. I was under extreme stress and pressure to say something as soon as I could, and was expected to accept fault for everything I was accused of, but not guilty of doing. Some of the things I wrote were overly apologetic, and I made things sound worse than they actually were because of the severity of the situation. The main takeaway people had from my apology was that I had pushed everything onto Red and didn't take accountability for anything myself. There's a number of bullet points here, so I want to get them all in view. Okay. What I blamed Red for in my apology because he was guilty of doing them. Him telling me how great it would be to work together with Silvervale, him holding a grudge against Bao. What I blamed Red for in my apology when I was also guilty. Red was the one with the business-oriented outlook on things from the start. I adopted that same mindset myself from working together as time went on. I wrongly made it sound like I was brainwashed into thinking this way in my apology. What Red was guilty of in my apology that I didn't know about until writing it. Red and Nano ever talking about a model for Geary in November 2023. Red including Bao and Cotton in his conversation, an eventual deal with Nano around exclusivity in January 2025, and bad-mouthing Bao and their DMs as if they were our shared feelings. Red talking to Nano about Shy Lily and her model in April 2025. Things I said about Red in my apology that I was wrong about. He did not manipulate Nano. He did not push Nano to not work with Silvervale, and she was not a constant topic between them. Things I took accountability for in my apology. 1. Agreeing with Red to talk with Nano about exclusivity, agreeing to specifically name Silvervale in the terms, and knowing a deal involving her was made. 2. Guilt-tripping Nano. 3. Feeling overly attached to Nano and her work. 4. Not knowing about what Red had said about Bao to Nano when I should have. 5. Not speaking to Bao about Red's feelings towards her and letting it spiral to the point it did. 6. Being upset and taking it personally when Bao hired my video editor. 7. Being upset when Sacramore told us he wouldn't be working with us again. 8. Confiding in Red about Shy Lily's behavior towards me. 9. Becoming resentful towards Silvervale. 10. Letting my insecurities and public comments influence my feelings towards Silvervale. 11. Assuming Spite copied me. 12. Being very possessive of my design details early on in my career. 13. Overreacting to Neon Tails' Hellhound OC design, which was apologized for in the past. 14. Cheating on my boyfriend. 15. Neglecting or leaving behind friends of mine. I admitted to the world that I cheated on my secret boyfriend, and the story pushed was that, quote-unquote, my scroll wheel's acting up, sorry. Quote-unquote, I took no accountability and used him as a scapegoat. Even with all of these concessions of what I did do, I was still somehow a narcissist who couldn't accept fault. What I did was not admit to, quote-unquote, the right things the people making these claims already decided I was guilty of. They also expected me to apologize for everything I've ever done without any of it ever being mentioned, even if the matter was already settled in the past. I understand that the things my manager did that I didn't know about are ultimately my responsibility, and my ignorance doesn't change that. I should have taken more care to check up on what he was saying and doing. But I was being blamed publicly for things I had nothing to do with. My accusers went out of their way to claim, quote, Sinder did this and Sinder said that, completely disregarding Red's agency from any of his own words and actions. The quote-unquote proof I must have known about everything he's ever said and done was because they said we worked on things together on our phones during the few times a year we were traveling, and Nano's document showed 2 of my screenshots from over a year apart from separate situations where I knew more or less what had happened between her and Red. There was no other evidence presented for this claim, but they told everyone it absolutely had to be this way. Emphasis was placed on Red's usage of quote-unquote we and quote-unquote our, as if they could know for a fact that it meant Red was always speaking with my knowledge, approval, and oversight every single time he said it. This was necessary for their narrative to work against me. This is what I said in my apology about this. Quote, I do not condone anything about what Red said about Bao in these DMs either, and him using we and our in this context is abhorrently incorrect, and I believe was done to gain greater credibility behind what he was saying. We have commentary from Red, which follows until I say otherwise. Red, aka redacted. I have always been more or less the quote-unquote creative lead on things we did, like model designs, project ideas, and art in general, and Sinder often agreed with my creative judgment. She trusted me to do the communication I did for her without oversight. For example, a lot of the times I would be the one talking to the artists we were working with, who only knew me as quote-unquote Sinder's manager. If I knew the direction I wanted to take something with or without talking to Sinder beforehand, and I said, quote, I want this art to be like this, instead of, quote, Sinder wants this art to be like this, then it felt like an awkward thing for me to say. In my mind, to the person we're working with, I'm just the manager, not the creator, not the streamer, not their client. What I myself wanted wasn't important. What Sinder wanted was. So in order to give weight to what I would say, I started using we early on without speaking for her directly, saying Sinder. If we wanted to do something a certain way, then it'd give me agency by implying that we both agreed on and made the decision, that Sinder was aware of the decision being made regardless of if she actually was or wasn't at the time, and that my words had meaning. I was speaking on we, the brands, behalf. It became a habit of mine to talk this way regarding any projects or business dealings. I didn't start doing this because anyone told me I should be. I didn't speak like this all the time or in every single message. It's not like Sinder never knew about what I was saying when saying we. If afterwards she did disagree with me on something, then I have to walk back what I said and say that Sinder actually wants it this way. For example, very often Sinder was on the same page as me beforehand or would agree with what I said without her knowledge, using we afterwards. In the case of the exclusivity deal with Nano, I used we when talking about Bao, so it seemed like Sinder also backed how I felt. Sinder not only wasn't aware of this, but I knew she didn't agree with me about what I was saying. In our conversation, Nano said herself that she was not really down, this is a quote from Nano, not really down with working with people who Sinder didn't want her to. So I made sure to tell Nano how, quote, we felt, expressing my own feelings to her as if they were both of ours. This will all be shown in Nano's section. There are 3 things in my apology I need to correct that will be shown in full detail in this document. Missing information, lies, and incorrect statements in my apology. I left out a lot of information regarding my experience of Silvervale and trying to overly apologize to her, and ended up making things sound much worse than what really happened. I lied about not knowing that Red spoke to Nano about Spite in 2023 to not make things worse for myself by revealing more than Nano or Spite did about what happened regarding her. I was wrong about which year the situation of Neanderthals took place in. I wrote that it was after my debut, but it was actually an entire year earlier. My apology and the accusations made against me did not cover everything Red and I have done wrong. I've laid out everything below that will be presented throughout this document so we can address them and take responsibility. Explaining the motives and reasoning behind our actions are not meant to justify or diminish them or the feelings of those affected, but to understand why they happened. Everything one of us or both of us are guilty of that accountability is taken for and shown in this document in the order they're presented in. We both became neglectful of many friendships and personal relationships online and IRL. Red and I became consumed by our work and prioritized my career over all else. Red considered everyone, including our friends, competition to some degree, and I agreed. Red and I left Tricky at our hotel in Tokyo one day during our Japan trip in October 2024. I chose to distance myself from Con after what happened between her and a friend. I tried going back on my agreement with the artist Nixiu in April 2025. Red asked Nano to not work with Spite in January 2023 and told me about it afterwards. I lied about not knowing he spoke to her about Spite and my apology to avoid talking about it. Red initially dissuaded Nano from accepting a model from Jin in November 2023. I guilt-tripped Nano in 2023 and February 2025, but still sided with her. Red reassured Nano about her considering and canceling Bao's model in August 2024. I knew Bao's model was canceled in August 2024 and didn't try to do anything about it. Red and I agreed to talk with Nano about exclusivity, including not to work with Silvervale specifically on any more models, in January 2025. Red and Nano agreed to a deal for her not to work with Silver, Bow, or Cotton in January 2025, only telling me about Silvervale's inclusion. Red spoke to Nano about Shy Lily in April 2025 after seeing Nano work on a model for her, and never told me about this conversation. We asked our video editor about exclusivity after Bao started working with them in September 2023. Red convinced herself Bao gatekept her video editor to hurt our future music video projects in December 2024, then held a grudge and a list of grievances against her. I didn't speak to Bao to clear things up about what I knew Red held against her, and it led me to being an awful friend to her for months at the start of 2025. Both Red and I mismanaged the planning and communication of Numi about her concert at the start of February 2025. I pulled out of performing in her show and almost didn't go after choosing business over my friend. We both grew to dislike Silvervale over the past few years for various reasons, including harassment and comparisons, my own insecurities, and how Silvervale acted towards me. Red asked an artist not to work with Silvervale in March 2025 and never told me about it. Red and I assumed Spite was copying me in 2022 and early 2023. I overreacted to Neon Tales' Hellhound OC design in 2021. Every claim of wrongdoing that was made against Red or I that isn't listed above is not true, whether it was an assumption or a lie in someone's document, statement about me, or verbally on stream. I would list the false accusations here, but there's been such a ridiculous amount at this point that I don't even know where to start. I will let this document speak for itself. These actions were not quote-unquote over years like the public was told. The majority of these actions happened in an 8-month span from August 2024 to April 2025. How each person was affected, if they were affected at all, is explained throughout this document. Nothing was black and white, and none of these actions were motivated by jealousy, envy, greed, or being malicious for the sake of it. My friends, it's been falsely claimed that I was using, manipulating, sabotaging, betraying, and backstabbing all of my friends for years in an effort to quote-unquote deplatform them and ruin their careers. There was never some kind of years-long grand conspiracy of deceit against anyone, and I have never quote-unquote pushed the ladder down behind me. I've never been jealous or envious of any of my friends or anyone else. My friends were not stepping stones I used to further myself. I loved my friends. Our experiences together were real. Our memories together are real. It hurts that I even need to say that here. There are plenty of things my friends know I've done for them, helped them with, or included them in for no other reason than that they were my friends. I've always answered their questions and offered them advice when they asked, done my best to be there and support them at their debuts with their own endeavors, and I've personally bought so much of their merch for myself without ever saying so. I literally brought brownies my mom made across the country to share with them. I spent my own time making one-of-a-kind cosplay pieces of their VTubers for them for no other reason that they were my friends. More than the 3 finished pieces below were planned for more of my friends, including Bao, before I put all my crafting focus into my Nihilister cosplay. It meant a lot to me that I can make things that meant a lot to them. I didn't know what they think I did against them, other than what I listed above, or where these ideas came from, or what rumors they were hearing about me, or how my friends collectively agreed this must have been the case after everything we've done and shared with each other. I absolutely could have been a much better friend, but I just can't believe every single one of them thought this little of me at a moment's notice. There were about a dozen of my friends involved before Nano's document was posted, and still not one of them said anything to me before they were posted publicly. A lot of my friendships did suffer due to where my priorities have been, especially over the course of 2024, because of my focus being overwhelmingly on work. And less on my personal relationships outside of it, I neglected people I cared about, and so did Red. Both online and IRL, even my closest friends. Unless it was about work, I didn't put as much energy into just talking and hanging out. But that's not to say I never did, never wanted to, or disliked them for any reason. I had my things going on, and I know they had theirs. When I wasn't streaming or working on something, I'd be isolating or hanging out with Red to decompress, and I didn't have the energy to socialize. I tried to plan collabs of friends as often as I could, and it was a way to hang out while still appeasing my content brain. My collabs with my friends were made into YouTube videos, but to say that I was using them for that as if countless other VTubers don't do the same thing is crazy. When I was traveling to see my friends, all I wanted to do was hang out and spend as much time together as I could, and was the happiest I was. Red and I always loved, valued, looked out for, and appreciated our friends, even if we didn't show it as often as we should have. I'm sorry to those of my friends who I haven't given the time they gave to me. I'm sorry for those I haven't spoken to in a long time for no other reason than my own negligence. And I'm sorry to my friends that I only focused on work with and didn't spend enough time being your friend outside of it. The business mindset. Red and I slowly became more closed off and neglectful of people over the past couple of years, but especially throughout 2024, focusing more and more of our time and energy on this career. Work became almost 24/7 for us, never taking a break. It was our job, our hobby, and almost all we talked about. We loved what we did, but we both became consumed by the content grind. Our work-life balance became non-existent. We were going and going and going all day, every day as a two-person team working to an obsessive degree. We were always trying to do more with more people all the time. Everything became about doing bigger things, achieving more, accomplishing more, growing bigger, launching more cool things, having more opportunities, while keeping up with at least 4 to 5 streams a week. Our problem wasn't greed like it was claimed, it was ambition. Ambition that was wearing us too thin to keep up with everything, but it was never enough to take a step back and relax. We were always looking ahead, always had to be progressing, and never stopped to appreciate where we were or the people around us. The money was nice, but it's never been the driving factor for anything we did. It was an indicator of a successful project, event, or merch drop that anyone understood. The majority of what I've made and spent went back into my work or towards the house my dad has been building. I've released a lot of merch, and it's something Red and I have both been passionate about. Coming up with and releasing cool new merch products is one of the most fun and fulfilling things to work on. And being on new products like a drink flavor trading card game was super exciting to us. It was always about launching cool things for my community over the money it made. I've turned down merchandise opportunities and many more sponsorship opportunities than I've ever accepted, only taking on those I really wanted or had a strong interest in, even though a lot of them were paying very well. Being a greedy, money-hungry person has been falsely projected onto me. It's never been all about the money for either of us. One instance I may be called out for regarding this was during my Heaven Hound model debut. During my lore video, I had an intermission where my chat needed to fill a gold bar on screen with bits to progress the video. It was the easiest way for me to implement interactivity into the debut, and my chat having direct involvement by cheering me on was the important to the story being shown. The motivation wasn't to have people give me money for the sake of it. This mindset got myself and my career to where it was, but it took over our lives to an unhealthy degree, leading to the deterioration of our health and relationships with people. Being canceled and away from work gave us the time to address this problem in our personal lives. For example, I have my own dog now who's been keeping me busy. I've gotten back into cosplay after not working on my Nanoless build for months. I've been trying to lead a healthier lifestyle, and I've been going to the gym regularly. Despite finding it difficult to be motivated about things since April, I've been making changes so I don't fall back into the same unhealthy work mindset I was in. Competition. In my apology, I said, I'm disgusted with myself for buying into the narrative that my friends were quote-unquote competition. I just learned about all this myself, and there could have been so many other friends affected by the narrative that things always had to be competitive. Red always considered everyone our competition, including my friends. I understood and agreed with his reasoning below. It didn't change anything between my friends and I didn't treat them any differently because of it. The only person I became directly competitive against was Silverveil, and that wasn't right of me. Red. The content creation sphere is massive, and the VTuber sphere is a fraction of that with its own audience. Everyone is always doing something, launching something, playing something, and it's a constant race of relevancy, whether you want to look at it that way or not. It's the nature of the industry. Part of the reason why we were always working on new things, releasing bigger things at a faster and faster rate, was to stay competitive in the space. In a general sense, everyone was competition. Friends, other VTubers, other content creators. But at the same time that anyone and everyone could be considered competition, they were also collaborators, co-workers, and partners. The end goal was about staying relevant and in people's minds and making sure our projects could succeed alongside anything going on at any given time, while also topping our own things we've done in the past. At no point was this view ever motivation or an excuse to hurt, take advantage of, or put down creators around us, especially friends. This is a business, it's a job, but keeping the business aspect of things in mind didn't affect the way I saw our friendships with people or the way I treated them. They were my friends too, and we both cared about them, supported them, and helped them out when they needed it. I've always had the backs of the people closest to us. The only people I've ever considered as direct competition in the negative sense were people either we had something against, or they had or did something against us, and were working with artists important to us. By April 2025, this was only Silvervale from how she acted towards Sinder for years, bow after what I thought she did to us and our other friends in December of 2024, but only until sometime after my deal with Nano in January 2025, and potentially soon to be Lily by the way she was treating Sinder, and coincidentally getting a model from Nanoless at the same time. It was wrong of me to feel this way, especially towards Bao, and I'm sorry. That's from Red. Here, I want to address the people Red and I hurt that don't have a larger section in this document. Let me okay, so this is the last part of my apology and taking account before we get to Nanoless. And my understanding really quickly is that Nanoless is sort of the kickstart for a lot of the issues here. My understanding is that Nanoless kind of overbooked herself and was using some stuff around Sinder as an excuse when basically she also had work-life balance issues, is my understanding. Here I want to address the people Red hurt and I hurt that don't have a larger section in this document. Tricky we. My friends Red and I traveled to Japan last year. After about a week into our trip around the country, we arrived in Tokyo for the last few days there. Red, Tricky, and I were all talking about going to the Godzilla store the night we arrived, but their other plans left us with no time to go. The next morning, Red and I were up super early and were ready to leave the hotel around 8 or 9 a.m. We waited in our hotel room for about an hour without hearing from Tricky at all. Because we only had a few days left in Japan, Red and I wanted to make the most of our remaining time. We were around friends all week and didn't have much, if any, time alone together in Japan either. The other half dozen of us there either had their own plans or were still sleeping too. There were other friends staying at the same hotel as Red, Tricky, and I, so instead of waiting around for Tricky to wake up, we selfishly chose to go out into the city and to the Godzilla store without her. By the time Tricky was awake and ready to leave the hotel, Red and I were across the city and didn't go back to get her. We only met up with her towards the end of the day when everyone reconvened somewhere. Red and I are sorry to Tricky for leaving her behind and hurting her. We've always been there for her, especially when we've traveled together. We didn't think she'd be left completely alone with how many of us were together in Tokyo, but we still should have waited for her instead of going off on our own. She was one of our best friends, and we're both so sorry. Cottontail, VA. I'm sorry to Cotton for the way I've avoided her and turned down collabs together for a situation that had nothing to do with her. I thought I was being a good friend to someone I was close with, but it was unfair to her to treat her that way. I did not agree with how Red included her name in his deal with Nano, and I wouldn't have let him if I knew about it, regardless of how I felt about her at the time. Red, it was wrong of me to ask Nano not to work with Cotton. It was a spur-of-the-moment thing, and after hearing about the situation she was involved in, I took it upon myself to do what I thought was right by another friend. Cotton's always been nice to me personally, and she didn't deserve that. I'm sorry. Nixu. Nixu deleted her tweet with her document about me. She shouldn't have, because she was right. I was going to include it here for reference, but I've left it out because of what she wrote in it. So instead, I've summarized the situation below. Second, I don't want any kind of public reaction to this. Sorry, 1 second. I really do not want to appear on videos or similar. I do not want my case being used as an excuse to put more hate into it. I just want to share and let it out my chest. I'll probably delete it in the end. Nixu, or Yumaya AF, is an artist that reached out to me via email about making artwork in exchange for showing it off and giving a shout out to her Patreon on stream. I hadn't seen the email, but she made a tweet laying out her terms, tagging me in it. I messaged her that I was interested. I put her in contact with Red, and he handled things from there. Through Red, we made our agreement. It wasn't until she had a large portion of the sketch finished when I had changed my mind about our agreement and didn't want to do it anymore. I don't know what was going through my head or what my reason was for this, but I told Red to call it off. Red tried to make it seem like this was miscommunication somewhere to save face for me, but it was really because I was being unprofessional. He talked to me and I agreed to follow through with the art showcase and shout out on my stream. However, I failed to follow Nixu's terms as they were agreed upon. I didn't verbally shout out her Patreon and only showed the link to it that was on her artwork. I also didn't show the censored NSFW version of the art, but that was because I was worried about getting in trouble with Twitch. This was an unprecedented situation I caused with an artist, and I've never done something like this with anyone else. I handled an agreement I made extremely and regrettably unprofessionally. This was way out of character for me, and I'm sorry to Nixie for how I handled things and for the stress I caused her. I encourage anyone reading this to please support her and her incredible work. The next section is on Nanoless. Nanoless, Nano's document for reference, terminating my work with Sinder. So this is kicked it off 4/26/2025 at 1:42 a.m. Eastern. Nanoless tweeted at the time, "Hello, I'm here to share something that has affected me personally. and hurt others. This was very hard for me, but I feel it is necessary. Please do not send hate to anyone on my behalf. This is all I want to say. Nano's document claimed both Red and I manipulated, used, and dragged her into drama, while slandering multiple VTubers, including our friends. These claims were the basis for everything else publicly released afterwards. Documents from half a dozen people and many others tweeting their grievances with me. It all hinged on Nano's document being posted and its validity. When I wrote my apology, I said I was not fully aware of the extent of Red's manipulation over Nano's commission decisions. When I wrote this poorly worded sentence, I hadn't seen any of these DMs. I was in a panic and didn't think Nano would be lying about anything. But now that I've read Red's DMs myself, I can say that Nano was not manipulated, abused, used, lied to, mistreated, expected to take action over any drama she was told about, or incapable of making her own decisions regarding her commissions and clientele. She was never forced to do or not do anything, has always been in control of her own choices, and always had the ability to say no. She was met with understanding and faced no repercussions professionally or personally from either of us when she did. Nano's messages with Red were deceitfully presented to push a narrative that never happened. I don't believe Nano ever showed the full context of her messages with Red to my friends. Her claims were backed by Shy Lily, and I believe they're misled into blindly supporting her. Nano was a close friend who we respected and was a massive part of my own success. I've only ever praised her privately and publicly. There was nothing she could do for me to hold anything against her or choose to stop working with her. Red and I always encouraged Nano to do what was best for her, not us. Red, who handled our plans with her, made sure to work around her schedule, push projects back if she needed more time on them to take a break, and give her first priority on projects she was interested in. He trusted her, and the extent he lied to her about the other people involved was in telling her his own genuine thoughts, observations, and experiences with them as he knew them. The same way my accusers did to the public with how they assumed how Red and I had to have operated together. The claim that Red and I worked to sabotage projects Nano had is a lie. We both would praise her for the work she did for other people, and I've always celebrated and supported new Nano model siblings when they debuted. Even if Red was really asking Nano to cancel every model she had, it was ultimately still her choice to do it or not, but all of the blame for her actions was somehow put on me. There were only 4 people Red ever explicitly asked Nano not to work with her agreeing not to. The first was Spite at the start of 2023. Red asked Nano himself, and he told me about it after. I lied about knowing this in my apology since it was never mentioned in Nano's or Spite's documents. Bao Khan and Silvervale were all part of their exclusivity deal in January of 2025, and each for Red's own reasons. I was only ever aware of and in agreement of asking Nano to not to work with Silver anymore. Red never told me about the other 2. I'm not guilty of him using his free will to push his own agenda and express his own feelings to Nano, but I understand that as my manager, everything he said to her or anyone else is my responsibility, whether I knew about it or not. Although they were friends, it was unprofessional of him to talk gossip and work interchangeably. We've worked with Nano for 4 years. She is an incredible artist who I've treasured working alongside for my entire career. I put my faith in her at the start when we were both much smaller creators. She saved me from a year-long struggle to get my first model, and she's been with me every step of my journey since. I wanted Nano to be part of anything she could and chose to make her artwork the backbone of my brand. I love and appreciate every single thing she's done for me, and I'm proud of everything I've been able to do for her. In April, I believe Nano found herself in a situation she couldn't back out of and then chose to do what would result in the most beneficial outcome for herself: hide the truth. Below are a large portion of Nano's DMs with Red and I over the past 2.5 years that show any situations brought up in Nano's document in full context, showing the relationship we had with her, how she felt about us and other people involved in everything, and any other relevant conversations that weren't included in what was posted to the public. I've also included some of my own messages with her and some messages with other people. Some of these DMs are repeated and included in the following sections of this document. Nano's profile picture is different in some of these screenshots because of them being taken at different times throughout making this document. Everything is in chronological order and all dates and times are in EST. I've censored any private information or names of people who aren't directly involved. Screenshots that include messages that were in any of the documents are highlighted with a red border. Screenshots that are directly of or taken from another document are highlighted with an orange border. Dates and important messages within any screenshots are highlighted in yellow. Quotes from my apology are highlighted in gray. Red's own comments on anything being presented are labeled and highlighted in blue. 1/23/2023. By the start of 2023, Nano was already sharing her commission plans with Red. She also told him it was okay for us to commission someone else for her merch artwork Red had previously talked to her about. Red said it was no problem for us to wait for her to do it. Like I said in my apology. In regards to Nanoless, for the majority of the time working with her, Red was the one almost solely doing the communication about new plans and negotiations through his private DMs. We're going to see this over here for ease of maintaining the documents like UI, like the way I've got it set up on stream. I'm not going to maneuver around too much unless relevant. So what I'm actually going to do is pull my VTuber as we read this. Redacted, 1/23/2023, 4:34 p.m. Oh, and just curious, but was blank the only new client you took on for this year right now? Nanoless, 1/23/2023, 4:49 p.m. Got another one, but it's done already. Redacted. Okay, cool. Seems like a lot of new people want to work with you, lol. Lol, lol, laugh out loud. Nanoless, 1/23/2023, 4:56 p.m. Yeah, I kind of feel it too, Pepe emote. By the way, you said you wanted to leave Daki and Booba for later. It's okay if you want to calm someone else. I don't want to delay your plans, but if you're fine waiting, I'm more than happy to work on it. Redacted. Oh, that's okay. We're fine with moving things around. It's only really Sinder if you draw it. Other things going on are preventing us from doing it for Valentine's like we wanted to, so we have to move it anyways. Plus, focusing on getting 2.0, the demon, and the 2 starting screen artworks done is more of a priority too. God damn, this means a lot to me. What the fuck? Redacted hearts. Later that day was the first time Red brought up Spite to Nano. Red asked Nano not to work with Spite, and she gladly agreed not to. Red only told me about this after it was done. It wasn't something we talked about beforehand, but I was okay with it. Nano never said anything about this to me, and we've never talked about Spite. I shared the feelings Red expressed here since he was the only other one who knew how I felt. What he said about negative comments I was getting was true. Everything regarding Spite is presented in her section of this document. This was not included in Nano's or Spite's documents at all. Why? Since they didn't say anything about it, I chose not to either. I lied about not knowing about Red's conversations with Nano about Spite to try and not make things worse for myself, but I still accidentally alluded to it because of the state I was in. This is what I said in my apology. Once again, I had no involvement or knowledge of Red bringing up Spite to Nano in 2023. My only personal involvement of excluding someone specific from working with Nano was Silver. Red, commentary. Sinder was upset over what we both thought was Spite copying her. I saw Spite interacting with Nano, possibly with the intent of trying to work with her. I went to Nano myself and asked her not to without talking to Sinder first. This is about one person, one artist they never worked with before who was fine with agreeing to it. As far as I know, it never actually affected Spite. I've never talked about Spite with any other artist, and I'm sorry to her that I asked this of Nano. This was the first of 4 times total with 3 different artists I had ever specifically asked anyone to not work with someone else, which are all presented in this document. I just... Redacted, 1/23/2023, 9:35 p.m. Hey, kind of a weird question. Would it be okay if we requested you don't work with someone? You mean like being exclusive? No, like not accept commissions from one person. Ooh, who is this? Red. I started the conversation as if we were asking about Nano to do this, like I would any other time. Spite. Grimace emoji. Nanoless. Oh damn, I almost said something like one Sinder X Spite. Redacted. Ever since Sinder debuted, we've seen her slowly implement her new design details that seem like she... I'm sorry, I'm going to actually have to move the screen to get this fully here. We've seen her slowly implement new design details onto herself that seem like she might have taken them from Sinder, including her now having ear flames she never had, and we think it's because she was the hellhound until Sinder showed up. But also some of Spite's community has been rude to Sinder in chat or on YouTube comments on other people's clips on Sinder. I've noticed her being friendly towards you, possibly with the intention of working with you. I just wanted to ask if you're okay with being one Hellhound exclusive. Of course, I protect my baby, but I also noticed the Flames edition. It's a shame that people that can't educate their community. Thank you, Nano. I feel really bad asking you something like this. I really appreciate it, though. It's okay. There's no place for rude people. Mama Nano, best mama. Mana protect. Where am I? Where's my VTuber? Here's me. Hello. This is me. Red. But then I tell Nano, I just want to ask if you're okay with being one Hellhound exclusive, and I feel really bad asking you something like this. Nano and I have never talked about Spite. Here's me searching Spite in my own DMs with Nano. 1/26/2023. An example of the relationship Red had with Nano and how they would talk with each other. Nano told Red she wants to make my winter outfit after Red messaged her about it a few days earlier on 1/2022/2023. Redacted. Hey, this is 122, 2023, 3:52 p.m. Hey, Nano, were you interested in designing Cinder's winter outfit? Not until a lot later this year. Wanted to ask in case we need to find someone else to design it for you to draw. Did I agree on doing Sinder winter? Because I do. I just don't remember if I replied to that. This is 126, 10:02 a.m. You did not reply to that. Nano, I do want to them. Oh my gosh, you do? I do? I gotta talk to some people and change things around. Oh my god. Wait, if you already got someone for that, no need to change? No, I'm just kidding. Ah, fuck you then. Club penguin emoji, cat emoji. Yeah, you could do it if you want. I don't want to anymore. Just kidding. I love Sinder, but fuck you. 3/27/2023. Red asked about Nano's other work for us to plan around with her, and Nano willingly shared. This was normal between them. Be confident, Nano. Nanoless. This is 3/27/2023, 7:58 p.m. I'm not. It's my nature. If you expect low, anything is a win. Well, I'm glad it's been good for you. It's been going good for you. What does your art schedule look like right now? Demon Sinder, March, April, 2 arts. April, May, full new model, blank. Mid-April, blank, art cuts. And few cup arts in between. Already have something for around June. I think that's it. Redacted. Let me see what else Sinder and I had planned to work with you on this year. Oh yeah, it would be great to know everything. Also, is it okay to have Sinder arts for Patreon rewards? I didn't have much time for Patreon. They are starving. 3/29/2023. Nano told Red she wouldn't be able to meet the deadline for 2 pieces of art she was doing for me. Red was sympathetic and extended the deadline for her. Nano implied that she's been taking on too many projects. March 29th, 2023, 6:36 p.m. Hey Red, I'm feeling a bit concerned about deadlines for the 2.0 art. What's up? I think it'd be better if you find someone else for 2.0 start screen. I didn't know they would be used the same day, but I can do work a bit harder to meet the dates if you really want me to work on it. Do you think you'd be able to do it by the end of April? I know you have blank and blank in April too, right? So maybe mid-May? Oh, I thought it'd be earlier. Well, ideally, we would have wanted both arts within the next week or two, but if you can't do that, we're going to have to push back the debut for other things too. End of April, mid-May would be okay if you can manage with that. I don't want to overload you too much. Yeah, for the next 2 weeks would be very pushy on me, but end of April, mid-May is good. Okay, I will let Sinder know. If you can't push back the debut, I really recommend someone else. Don't want to delay things for you guys. There's also the waifu cup art for Sinder. I don't know when they want you to start, and that it's black tone. Oh, okay. Start that, but just another thing to do at some point. LOL. No, it's okay. We have to wait for blank anyways and some other things being worked on. She'll only be starting the demon model in another weekish when she's back home. So the debut will be anywhere from end of May to mid-July, depending on when things are done, and Sinder and I aren't traveling to cons instead of the end of April. Kind of relieved besides delaying is sad. It's okay, Nano, but we have a lot of projects we want to work with you on if you're free this summer right now, LOL. I would love to if I have the time. I might stop taking big comms for some time and only work with my current contacts. I'm kind of dying. I'm sorry we're giving you so much to do. It's okay. It's my fault. I decided to birth another baby. After the 2.0 and Demon Arts, blank, and your other projects, Patreon stuff, then we will take up all your time. Gladly. Blank is mostly done. Just gotta make some cuts for rigging. And at least the Sinder art can help out with your Patreon after the debuts. For 2/23 to 4/14/2023. Nano turned down artwork plans that were previously discussed for some time off. Eventually, Red told her we were able to find another artist for those plans. In between, Red praised Nano for her work on another VTuber's model. Oh my god, this Nano section is so long. This Nano section is 200 pages. Okay, wait, I finally got the page count. I'm gonna go back for a second, guys, and look at the full page count of how much we've read. This is 200 pages. A lot of it is DM receipts. Okay, so overdue response is 2 pages. Redacted is 3, so it's 5. My apology is 7. It's 12. We've only read we've read nearly 2 hours worth, and we've only done 12 pages, and Nanoless is 8. So we've done 20 pages today. It's taken 2 hours. Man. We'll read through some of these receipts. Okay. So, redacted, 3/29/2023, 6:43 p.m. And there's also the waifu cup art for Sinder. I don't know when they want you to start that, but just another thing to do at some point. Lol. No, it's okay. We have to wait for blank anyway and some other things being worked on. She'll only be starting the demon model in another weekish when she's back home. So the debut will be anywhere from end of May, mid-July, depending on when things are done and Sinder and I aren't traveling to cons instead of the end of April. Nano, kind of relieved besides delaying is sad. It's okay, Nano, but we have a lot of projects we want to work on with you if you're free this summer right now, lol. I would love to if I have the time. I might stop taking big commissions for some time and only work with my current contacts. I'm kind of dying. I'm sorry, we're giving you so much to do. It's okay, it's my fault I decided to birth another baby. After the 2.0 and Demon Arts, Blank, and your other projects, Patreon stuff, then we will take up all your time. Gladly. Blank is mostly done, just gotta make some cuts for rigging, and at least the Sinder art can help out with your Patreon after the debuts. 4/2/23 to 4/14/23. Nano turned down artwork plans that were previously discussed for some time off. Eventually, Red told her we were able to find another artist for those plans. In between, Red praised Nano for her work on another VTuber's model. Red, we need to talk. Whoops, sorry. Red, we need to talk. Hi, Nano. What's up? I think it won't be possible to take Cinder's merch comms. I really need some time off from commissions. Okay. Thank you, and sorry for this. No worries, Nano. You deserve a break. When you're ready to take on comms again, we'll have things for you to do if you want. Yes, of course. I just need some time to breathe, but still would love to work with you guys. Great job with Blank model, Nano. Thank you. This is April 2nd, April 3rd, and then April 9th. Hey, Nano, we found an artist to do a Daki and Booba mouse pad for Sinder, but it's her original design. We'll wait for you to do that 2.0 and Demon design Dakis and mouse pad. Want to let you know so you don't feel too bad about it. 4/12/2023. I messaged Nano about starring on some pose ideas for my first waifu cup when she was ready and available to. Sinder, 4/12/2023, 3:38 p.m. Hi, Nano. Blank was asking me when you'll have some time to work on the art for my Gamer Subs cup, and I said you were a little busy right now. Do you think we can come up with some pose ideas together when you have a chance? There's no rush. I know you're busy. Ooh, of course, can do. You want it two-sided, right? That would be amazing. 4/30/2023. I told Nano I was trying to get her the okay to work on the waifu cup art on stream so it'd be easier for her, and I told her how much it meant for me to have the first waifu cup with her artwork on it. Cinder, Nano, I hope you're having a good weekend. The starting screen arts you made for me are so nice. I love them. I've been trying to see if it'll be okay for you to work on my Gamer Subs art on stream to make things easier on you. They might be able to have the art on a big banner for Anime Expo if it's done soon. Have the first Nano cup. It's so special to me. Oh shit, you want a banner? Yeah, let me work on a stream would help a lot, but if not possible, it's okay, I manage. I want to make things as easy as possible for you, and maybe if you don't want to stream collabs yet, we can hang out while we work if you want someday, no stream. I would love to actually, get used first. Maybe we actually hate each other. Keck, W. No, don't say that, I could never. I'm sure about that, but would be hilarious. 5/4/2023 to 5/5/2023. I asked Nano about one of my then upcoming model sisters' debuts when playing my Demon debut so they wouldn't accidentally fall on the same day. Nano, do you know about when Blank plans on debuting your model just so I can plan around it if it's near my debut? Let me check on that. I believe it was around June 22nd or July 2nd. Nanoless. Blank said her debut will be around July, August. Can't say the exact day yet. Okay, I've been planning mine to be mid-July, but I'm trying to make sure I don't accidentally have it on the same day as anyone else. 5/4/2023 to 5/5/2023. Red asked about Nano's projects, about when Silver contacted her about her model main 2022 and encouraged her to set aside time for her own content. After the GG 2.0 and Demon Art edits, we'll give you a break to focus on yourself for a while. Do you still have a lot of other projects to do right now other than Cinder? Thank you, I need some break. Currently only Blank. Silver seems to want another model though. Like brand new? Yep, she didn't reply to the model specifications, so I'm just taking this as a chance to be free. Nano, you don't need to answer. This is 5/5. But I'm just curious, when did Silver contact you about making her first model? Also, I feel like you should take until at least July off to focus on you and your streams. Nano deserves Nano time too. It was like 2 weeks before her birthday. Okay. At this point, I might just stick to Cinder, Blank, and Blank. Silver is not very responsive to me. That's surprising. What the fuck? We love working with you, not just for your art. That's so sweet of you. Been having fun of streaming lately. Hope I can keep up. You've been doing really good. Whenever I see you on, I lurk for a little while. Lol, Cinder still really wants to collab with you. Maybe we can set up a drawing stream where you both draw VTubers in paint with like a 5-minute timer or something, lol. I want to. I'm just too pussy yet. That sounds fun, not gonna lie. Red, I asked Nano about when she made Silver's first model from her because we grew suspicious of it if it had anything to do with Cinder in her debut about a couple months earlier. Nano wasn't well known as a model artist in the summer of 2022 and had only done 3 models at that point, including Cinder's. More about this topic is in Silver's section of the document. I'm sorry. I'm going a little ahead. That's what I just read over here. 5/5/2023. I thanked Nano for the waifu cup artwork she made for me, and her scale figure was announced. Sinder. Nano, this is 5/5/2023, 1:24 a.m. Nano, you did such an incredible job on the waifu cup artwork. Thank you so much for being the best ever. Thank you so much for the raid today, Nano. I'm so excited for your figure. I'm going to be the first to get one. Sorry I didn't reply to you before, Osha. I'm excited and a bit nervous. Hope it sells well. No, that's okay. I'm going to tell all my friends to buy it. I appreciate, not going to lie, I'll shamelessly get all help I can. 5/9/2023 to 5/10/2023. Red talked to Nano about the situation with my first waifu cup, which led to him revealing our experience of Silvervale over the past 2 years. Spite was mentioned towards the end of the conversation and was the last time she was ever talked about between them. Before this, I was told that Silvervale had her own waifu cup with Nano's artwork on it that was already far into production. I was very excited and proud to have the first cup of Nano's art, and all of a sudden, that wasn't going to be the case. Not only that, but if my cup was going to be released after Silver's, I would have been harassed for copying her again. Red, I did not lie to Nano about anything I said in this conversation. I would have had no reason to. Everything I said was as genuinely thought and experience speaking to a friend I trusted. You're literally the best. Nano. Nah, redacted. The cup might be coming out a lot sooner than we were planning because of conflicts of another release. Oh no, what a disaster. Yeah, there's another creators thing coming out. We want to make sure Cinders was released ASAP. Damn, you know, when is it? Not exactly, that's why we're rushing. Pretty hype having my art on GG Cup. Waiting to hear back about moving the release day up, though. Yeah, we're super excited to be the first with your art. Aww. Had to move it up to the next to make sure we have the first Nano Cup. Gonna be big. I'm so excited. Let me know if you get dates. It was supposed to be towards the end of June. We're waiting on confirmation, but it could be within the next couple of weeks. Let's go. The other thing with your art on it could be coming out soon, so we're going Sonic speed on this bitch. Other thing, but they still want the art at AX probably without cups being on sale. Yeah, wait a minute. I thought you would have been told. Okay, so I'm probably not supposed to say anything, but Keck W Red. You got to keep this between us, of course. No leaks. No leaks. I'm leaking excitement. No, you can't even do that. Or I'll have to send the girl that beat me up that one time to your house. Okay, I'm clogged. Okay, so Cinder has been super excited about having the first cup with your art. Like, super big deal with the cool double-sided two-color effect. She's the cutie. Oh my god. She was talking to Blank today about upcoming cups from other creators just because she was curious, and Blank was teasing a few to her. And he mentioned, a new kind of cup he pitched the heads at GamerSups, and they all agreed after seeing a certain piece of art on be used on this first kind of this cup. This new cup, instead of the normal transparent waifu cup art, is a full body color art piece. I don't know how the cup will end up looking though. Okay, and this is top secret. You can't say anything to anyone, not even Blank, because technically this is between him and Cinder. I should have known about it, but I'm the manager, and I thought you knew. Blank, me, GG people were very interested in my work. Maybe it was a foreshadow. Something spoilered. Here it is. This new full body color art cup is of silver, and it's basically at the same part of production as Cinder, and it has your art. What Blank told Cinder is that it was something you drew for silver for Blank, and it was never used, so she's reusing it here after Blank pitched this idea to make it. So Cinder starts panicking about it. We have no clue when they plan on releasing that cup, but if it's for Cinder, it won't be the first Nano Cup. And not only that, but Cinder said the hand with the heart positions are really similar, which isn't your fault since you didn't know anything about this. And if Cinder's cup were to release after hers, then it would just be more fuel to the ongoing drama between them, and Cinder will get more hate about it. Plus, hers is a brand new full art color cup, while Cinder would have a normal waifu cup and would be overshadowed in comparison. So Blank was doing overtime coordinating Blank to try and work out an emergency plan to get Cinder's cup out ASAP. There's just a lot of unspoken drama between Cinder and Silver. Only me and a couple other people know everything. It was important we get Cinder's out before her. So he has a drama with Silver. There's just been a lot of misunderstandings and coincidences. The internet thinks Cinder copied everything about Silver. It's basically confirmed that Silver doesn't like Cinder because of it. It's kind of sad my baby's not getting really well together, not gonna lie, woot. Cinder's rated, thank you Fat Tummy for the follow, or for the lurk. Cinder's rated Silver multiple times, and she's the only one that Silver won't say her name. Silver was at Cinder's debut last year. Cinder started growing fast, and then not even a month later, contacts you about getting a model from you herself, rushed for a birthday. There's more instances like that, but Silver refuses to follow, acknowledge, or interact with Cinder at all because it's assumed that Cinder copied her. It sucks because she didn't. Ironically, Cinder is only Cinder because of Silver, but not because she copied her. The complete opposite. History lesson time. Before Cinder was Cinder, she was Tashi with an ASMR channel, which she still does sometimes. Red. Silver didn't like Cinder, and how she would respond to Cinder's raids is the past experience we had to infer that Lily's reactions to her raids along with her other behavior signaled she had a problem with Cinder. Which she still does sometimes. Ooh, yes, I've seen that. The pink OC. Yeah, she's always loved wolves and she's always loved the cherry blossom motif. So we were going to turn her already successful existing character into her VTuber, but turn into her wolf girl. We wrote lore for her and everything. She was a cherry blossom wolf girl who was the nature goddess spirit of the forest. Oh shit, oh shit. This was like October 2020. We were waiting to start on it with Blank. We couldn't start with her until December, and 1 to 2 weeks before she was ready to work with us, V Shoujo debuted, and Silver rebranded as a cherry blossom wolf girl. So to avoid copying her and so we could stand out, we did basically the opposite of that design because of Cinder's love of metal music and Okami wolves, and the fact no one at the time had fire since Western VTubing was so new. We came up with Cinder and told Blank we had to change direction last minute in order to stand out from Silver, and also that pink cherry blossom motif was super overdone. It ended up working out since no one else but Spite nowadays really has her theming. Oh shit, this is so tense. And some people think that Cinder and Silver sounding similar, or their designs looking somewhat alike as wolf girls, or Cinder's model and Silver's original Blank 2D model looking alike, or the fact that they're both super similar personalities and have some similar sounding laughs must mean that Cinder copied everything. Maybe Silver don't talk too much of me because of Cinder. I mean, I'm not blaming Cinder, don't worry. I don't know, I wouldn't think that's the case because she's worked with you for a long time before Cinder. You've done a lot of art for her. Yes. This is kind of sad though. I think Cinder and Silver could be like sisters. I'm just wondering if she asked you for a new model because she caught wind of Cinder's upcoming debut and wants to one-up her. Literally, they are so alike, like their personalities. And they're opposite designs, so they fit so well together. Cinder just feels like she's always in Silver's shadow because that's what people think. Nano, tell me this wouldn't work. Yes, dude. But like going back to the Gamer Subs thing, if Silver releases her new impressive cup first, it's going to overshadow Cinder's. Plus, she'd take the first Nano art cup title, and since the poses are similar, people would say she's copying in. I just feel like Cinder with Blank, people use still compare us a lot, and I feel I'm always on his shadow. Oh, and plus we didn't even give Blank Silver as a design reference. We gave her Blank, lol. I completely understand that. I actually like both of your art for a long time. Blank, I've always thought of you as the bigger artist. Blank, thank you. What the fuck? Yep. I like Blank too. Blank. But you can't tell me that this is better than this. God, artist Nano. Okay, I'm not supposed to have this image saved, but let me show you the cup arts. Thank you, Red. Oh, on the hentai world, skill doesn't mean much, but booba. Yeah, but you draw the best booba. What the fuck? If Silver's cup comes out first, while Cinder even copied Silver's cup arts, and it's not even in color. Oh shit, they do be similar. What have I done? Blank. So at least if Cinder's cup comes out first, then we're trying to do, then Silver will be copying Cinder, but it won't matter and no one will say that because she's massive and the full body colored art will take the attention away from it anyways. But like I said, both Cinder and Silver are at the same point of production, so she could launch just as soon as us, but we don't know when. If it wasn't so urgent, I can make a new art for the special cup. Nah, it's okay, Nano. We really love the art you made for it. Maybe if they want another cup, we can always do a double-sided full body color artwork with 2.0 Intima or something. Who knows? But yeah, I really with Silver could make up with Cinder. Wish Silver could make up with Cinder. There's more drama that happened over the past couple of years, but it's all from Silver's side. They go so well together. They would do so good together. That's a big L. Big L for real. I hope Cinder cup comes first, though. I know the sad feeling. Honestly, she could try to talk before doing this. What do you mean? Like Cinder to Silver? Like talk and have things sorted before just ignoring and all? I don't think Silver... I'm sorry. This is getting way ahead. I don't think Silver is willing to. Cinder DM'd Silver on Twitter before asking to play Minecraft together since they were both really into it and was never answered, and they're not Discord friends. Okay, let me explain their first interaction. Oh wait, it's late for you. You should sleep. Don't worry, I love gossip. No, isn't it 2 or 3 a.m. for you? I believe it was the MSP Mine server, but I'm very into it. Okay, let me get the deets. I'm trying to find the tweet. Okay. This was February 2021. Cinder was designed in December 2020. Cinder is a talented artist from high school and college. She didn't pick up art for a long time until she got a tablet laptop for working on the ASMR channel like thumbnails. So when she became a VTuber, she wanted to draw fan art of herself with other big VTubers. Silver was the first one she did. She planned to do her and Blank drinking tea, Bao splashing water on her head and her getting upset, and Blank playing drums while Cinder played a Guitar Hero guitar. That's cute. I remember that art actually, but she never ended up doing any more. So only the silver one exists and no one knows about the other one. So in isolation, it seems like she only ever meant to draw this one for Silver. The problem is that in the tweet, Cinder said, "You're such an inspiration," when in reality, Silver was an inspiration for the design by not wanting to be a cherry blossom, but not by her streams or inside jokes or personality or anything, because Cinder didn't watch Silver. So people look at this one fan art Cinder ever did, and the fact she said she's an inspiration to point to them having similar names, designs, and on-stream personas. But that's not all the drama of this post. Cinder tweeted the same thing a few days before, but then there was also a hashtag Cindervale, because it's cute art. There wasn't malicious intent or weird feelings behind it. Mama Vale retweeted the original post, then unretweeted it, and we were like, what happened? People make too much fuzz out of nothing too. At the time, we were working with Blank on Cinder's alerts and panel arts. There's so much VTubers that are very alike. We knew Blank was friends with Silver, so we asked her if there's a problem. And Blank said that Silver is really off-put by that Cindervale hashtag, and that she was going to message Cinder. Silver messages Cinder asking her to take it down. She did without any problem. Cinder was really broken up about it because she didn't want to get off on the wrong foot with Silver, being one of the biggest VTubers at the time. Also because since we redesigned her into Cinder, I've always pushed for them to interact because their designs go so well together. So she took down the tweet and reposted the one I sent you. Silver and Mama Vale commented and that was it. Silver never followed Cinder, but I mean at the time Cinder was just a reference sheet. End of chapter. Next chapter. Sorry, that's where it's over here. Laugh. Now we are on the model chapter. Man, still pretty mean from Silver. Oh, okay. There is a lot to read through, but I'm just okay. I don't want to cut this part abruptly short, but I can tell to get through, like, look how much we have to read. So we are not getting through the full context of this today. I think this is the pause point.